And they sat me down, and they said, Jim, we're not sure why, and we're not sure when, but we do know that someday you're going to be totally blind, and there's not one thing we can do about it. Now, near where I went to college, there is a school for blind children. And to this day, I don't know what my motives were. I don't know if I was trying to make a deal with God or help out or learn more about it or what. But I went over to this school for blind children, and I met with the principal. And I said, look, I'm 17 years old. I have no background, no training, no experience in working with blind kids, but I'd like to teach here. Well, you can imagine how excited they were to see me. But they did say, Jim, if you're really serious about this, we do have one kid you can kind of work with one-on-one. I said, okay, what do I teach this kid? And they said, Jim, that's just it. Christopher is 4 years old. He's totally blind. He has a lot of other physical problems. And we have determined that he's never going to grow or learn or advance or develop any more than he already has. So what we want you to do is keep him quiet and keep him away from the other kids so at least they can learn their lessons, because Christopher will never learn any more than he already has. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you ever forget that we always live up to the expectations we have of ourselves, or those expectations that we allow other people to place upon us. The only training they gave me to work with this poor kid was two things. They said, Jim, you got to keep his shoes tied. We're afraid he's going to trip on a shoelace and hurt himself. And the other thing is, you got to keep him away from the stairs. It's very hard for blind people to climb stairs. We're afraid he's going to fall down the staircase and hurt himself. Other than that, we don't care what you do. Just keep him quiet so the other kids can learn their lessons. Well, that first day, I went out to meet Christopher, and he was very, very small, much smaller than you would expect a 4-year-old child to be. And he was totally blind, and he had a lot of other problems. And I said, young man, before I leave here, no matter how many days or weeks or months or years it takes, you are at least going to learn how to tie your shoes and climb the stairs. And he said, no, I can't. And I said, yes, you can. And he said, no, I can't. And I said, yes, you can. And he said, no, I can't. And if you've ever spent any time with a 4-year-old, you know, they can do that all day long. I had never experienced anything quite like that. Well, I began going to the university every day, and then every afternoon I would spend with Christopher learning how to tie our shoes and climb the stairs. Then it happened. I finally hit the wall. I couldn't see to get around on my own anymore. I couldn't read anymore. So I prepared to do the only thing I did know how to do, which was quit. That's what I was good at then. I had a PhD in quitting. So I prepared to quit. I went over to school for the blind kids for what I thought would be my last day. I got there early, and I met with the principal. And I said, look, I'm going to have to drop out of college. I can't come here anymore and volunteer to work with Christopher. This will be my last day because I just can't make it. Well, I didn't know they dropped Chris off early that day, and Christopher's standing outside the open door to the office hearing this whole conversation. So as I went out to tell him goodbye and tell him I loved him and tell him I hope someday somebody else would show up and spend some time with him, he turns to me and says, yes, you can. And I said, no, I can't. And he says, yes, you can. I said, no, I can't. And he said, yes, you can. And as I was preparing to explain to this poor, ignorant, uninitiated, uninformed 4-year-old child how that this is somehow different, kid. This is not like learning how to tie your shoes here. This is like going to a major university. As I was preparing to explain that to him so he would understand, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Stovall, either get up and do something with your life or quit lying to this kid. Because if it works for tying your shoes and climbing the stairs and finishing college and creating lives and careers and businesses and lifestyles and destinies that are worthy of you and worthy of your best efforts. And if it doesn't work, let's quit lying to people. 3 years later, I graduated from that university with honors and 2 degrees. And that same week, I had the privilege of my life, with what little vision I had left. In fact, one of the last things I ever really remember seeing was then 7-year-old Christopher climb 3 flights of stairs, turn and sit on that top step, and tie both of his shoes. Thank you.